Are you ready to take off your mask? Do you ever feel like the woman that gets up every day and almost puts on like a superhero suit, right? Like you suit up, your leg in your tights and like, throw your cape on and have all of the things and juggle all the things only to really feel like you're being so, in a way, like inauthentic to yourself, to the journey, to where you're really feeling like you are. And I've been there. And so I like paused because I was like, how do I want to say this? Because on the inside, your experience is so completely different than what it might look like on the outside to everybody else. Does this relate for you? Have you been in that space where you're like, can I just take off the mask and show up as myself? Because being this faux self on the outside is exhausting. If any of that relates for you, then hi, my name is Jen, founder and owner of Laughing Lotus Wellness. I'm a transformational purpose coach and expert. And what I do is work with women in midlife who are in this space of being brilliantly, honestly successful, that are arriving in that space and really feeling like it's not anything like what they thought it was going to be. It doesn't feel good anymore. And so what we do is work to get clarity around how you got there, where you want to go. And I empower to use that inner knowing, your strengths, your gifts, and your talents to really step into that purpose and rise in that journey, to reconnect that sense of success with purpose, right? We don't have to have one without the other, and to get really realigned in that space. And so talking about that journey, speaking of my own story, honestly, which was years ago, feeling completely disconnected and having this beautiful business that we worked really hard to grow and thriving, great client list, right? All the things. And from the outside looking in, like, I mean, I didn't have it all. I don't want to say it that way, but like you would look at me and say, Jen's got everything together, right? Great business, child, husband, home, all the things that in our culture we set ourselves up for feeling like are the ideals, right? Only I didn't feel connected to it. And so I know this all from personal experience, what this journey can feel like when all of a sudden you realize that it's actually not aligned anymore. And there's something awful about it. There's something awful about feeling like, how do I talk about this with someone? Because to someone else, my life is looking pretty great right now, right? Have you been there? Like to somebody else, I've got it rocking, right? I'm rolling with everything going on here. I'm juggling these things but it feels not fake in the way that you're not being real, because there was parts of my journey that I really did enjoy, like my clients, but there was a lot of things that were really not clicking. And it was really hard to speak to that. It was really hard to say, this is actually kind of miserable. It's its own misery that I've created this thing I should be thriving in, only I actually feel like I'm dying on the inside. And if I had a penny for all the times that someone has said, Jen's got her stuff together. Jen knows what she's, Jen knows what she's going to be when she grows up, right? And this impression that it looks like we've always got our shit together. And many of us, I think, honestly, women in particular, are great at this. We're great at juggling 9 million things and looking okay. And so we're going to kind of talk today about two things, because I'm going to be kind of taking a little time off for the holiday. And I didn't want to miss the second one, because I loved all three of the gifts of Christmas, which I would invite you to go back and just look at the vlogs that I've created. You can catch those on my website. And really what I'm doing is walking you through, the gifts of teachers, the gift of clarity, and the gift of transparency. And so the other that vlog's going to be coming out next Tuesday, but I want to hop in here because I'm going to be taking some time off. I got a lot of things, irons in the fire going on right now, and I'm going to be traveling a bit too. So I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity to share this with you. So as a clinical social worker, in the field of psychology, working for over 20 years, what I really kind of think I have found and discovered when I'm working with people, that these three gifts in particular are monumental in your growth and in your personal experience of being on your path to purpose. So we've talked about the gift of teachers, so I'm going to leave that one a little bit in the dust, not because I don't love it, but because it's been spoken to. So you can go back and just check in those other vlogs and lives so that you can kind of check in, and like if you want to kind of catch up. I can't say check in and catch up in the same sentence. Oh, so if you would like to catch those to catch up with us, you're welcome to go back and grab that. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the gift of clarity, and this was a little quote that I love. So it says, and this is really kind of for the month in general. This is a quote. It says, there are ways of spreading light to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. And that is exactly what we're getting at for this season. So I'm going to read it one more time. So it's so beautiful. There are two ways of spreading light to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. And so what I want to say, I think that's by Edith Wharton. Beautiful quote about the essence of where I was trying to take us in the month of December period, which is really just that capturing that sense of having light within and wanting to share that out. And that sometimes it takes us to do the personal work to go inward to really kind of grow and increase that light so that you can shine it out and share it with everybody around you, right? Does that make sense? Hopefully that all makes sense. Okay, so there's a second reading. And this says, and this is so beautiful to me. Oh my gosh, this is like perfect for the holiday time, but it's such a good lesson regardless of what time of year. It says, there are stars whose radiance is visible on earth, though they have long been extinct. There are people whose brilliance continues to light the world, even though they are no longer among the living. These lights are particularly bright when the night is dark. They light the way for humankind. And that's Hannah Zenis. I'm going to say it. Hopefully I pronounced her name correctly. And I thought that was so beautiful because it's that essence of legacy and impact. And I talk so much about wanting to connect with women who really want to sign into that space of like knowing that they're leaving a legacy and impact. And that's such a beautiful reference of a light that shines is shining long after it's actually humanly present, if that makes sense, right? Like awesome, right? And so we're talking about that. So the gift of clarity. Clarity means clear seeing. And in my vlog, I mentioned that briefly. So it's just clear seeing. So if I have clarity, I said that the gift of clarity is direction. And so what happens is when I get clear about who I am, what I stand for, what kind of legacy I want to leave, I am much more likely to have direction. Does that mean you will never have to course correct? No, you will course correct. I've course corrected. And so that's several times in my life, in my journey. So that's what we do. But if I know who I am and what I stand for, if I have the basic wisdom of all of that gift, I am set up for alignment, right? I'm going to live more fully in my alignment when I know who I am, what I stand for, where I want to go, the kind of impact that I want to leave in the world. And then I really step fully into seeing that and then implementing the steps to make sure that I'm actively living into that space. Okay. So that's direction. And I talked a minute about being a visionary and having a vision for your life. And that's the clear seeing, right? And that's both energetic and sort of a mental, emotional, and spiritual way of looking at this. And that's what I like talking about, where I combine the psychology and personal growth and energy work. And then what was the spirituality? I think I was like, oh my God, I list off 4 things and I lose track. So in combination of those things, if we were doing a Venn diagram, what ends up in the center is the way that I do the work. And you want to have a vision, right? So we're going to be talking about this in January. So coming up, this is weirdly prompting January without even trying. And January is going to be a reset month, right? So it's an invitation every year. And we can use this invitation anytime, but it's going to be a reset time of year where we can go in, drop in, reconfigure ourselves, right? Set ourselves up the best way possible for success and going in that direction with clarity, right? So if I don't have clarity, I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? I'm just guessing. And so we don't want to guess. We really want to be mindful, because then our effort pays off, right? The fuel that we generate in our souls, in our lives, and our energy is then really being directed in a place that we want to send it. Right? Okay. So important. So like I said before, if I'm going to go on a trip, I don't go, I'm just going to, I'm going here, but I have no idea. I don't have a map. I don't have an itinerary. I don't have, right. We would not do that. Most of us, right? We would, if we were going to go on a vacation, we would be mindfully picking a location at least to start from, maybe some ideas of what we want it to look like. That's really what we're talking about here is you want to have a vision for where you want to take this light that you have to shine in the world. Super important, okay? All right. Transparency. This is a big one. This is my favorite. And I don't know, let me see if I got Tara Brach, because I have a couple of readings today that I really fell in love with for what we were talking about today. Okay. So I'm gonna use this because we're gonna leap into this transparency piece because it's like one of my favorites. Okay, so Tara Brach in her book, Trusting the Gold, gorgeous, gorgeous book. She says this is short and sweet again. As we grow up, we increasingly internalize the judgments and values of our society, further losing touch with our innocence, creativity, and our tender hearts. We cover over the gold, which is your light. So I want you to use that same, right? We can intertwine those two things. We cover over the gold as we seek the approval of others, looking to them to measure our worth, to determine whether we are good enough, smart enough, successful enough. And if we are part of a non-dominant group in our culture, we take an additional layer of protection to help us face the violence of social injustice and oppression. Adding layer after layer to protect ourselves, we become identified with our coverings. This is so powerful. Believing ourselves to be separate, threatened, and deficient. Yet even when we cannot see the gold or light, the light and love of our true nature cannot be dimmed, tarnished, or erased. It calls to us daily through our longing for connection, our urge to understand reality, our delight in beauty, our natural desire to help others. I mean, like, just, I couldn't have said it any better. And so since I can't, I offered her up. And I want you to notice that she's talking about connection and transparency. The gift of transparency is connection. And for me, connection is one of the meanings of life. I value connection over lots and lots and lots of things because I really believe that the most beautiful things that happen in our lives are based in connection. And so to me, transparency is the vessel to connection. And so the gift of it is connecting more deeply with people in this journey. And so when people are willing to open up and show up authentically, they're so much more relatable. Do you feel me? Right? Have you known someone that just popped into your life and they were so brave about talking about who they were, where they've been, mistakes they've made, and also seeing the goodness in it? There's a real resilience in it. It isn't something that they show up and they're just saying like, it's not a like, I feel like I'm a mess because I've had these things. Contrary is they really actually feel like those were the tools that allowed them to turn into who they needed to be in this journey. I'm always saying every single thing in your path is showing up for you to prepare you to step into your purpose. That's just my baseline belief for sure, 100%. And so for some of us, we'll show up where we wear masks. In the very beginning of our time today, I said, like, do you ever feel like you're wearing this like superhero getup? And part of it's this mask that you put on to look like you feel like you're doing all the things. She talked about, like we're told how to show up, how to be successful. And I love challenging the concept of wealth as something wholly different than money. Money is one way to gauge your achievement if that's something that's important to you. And there's a million other ways to gauge your wealth in your life. And so for me, I really like to think expansively about that. So I don't get too kind of cornered into thinking like just in one way about like, this is the only way that I achieve wealth. And wealth to me is legacy and impact. And so, and certainly not saying that you shouldn't earn money or that you can't earn money doing these things, but I'm also just saying, I think that it's just really powerful to kind of get our heads around another way of looking at this. And so thinking about, are there places in your life, are there times in your life where you felt like you had to wear a mask, where you like really couldn't be who you were and you didn't know how to say it or you didn't know how to talk about it? It's why I love talking about that struggle of the business where, when my business partner was like, hey, Jen, we're like doing really well. And I think we should just stay doing this. And I was like on the inside screaming and I had a smile on my face and I wasn't ready to step out of the notion of who I needed to be and how I needed to show up. And so I just planted a smile on my face. Have you done this? And you're like nodding and going along and you're like, I'm dying on the inside. And that was what it felt like. And so I want to use the example of And if you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. Working with a couple populations of people is super fun. Working with teens and working with people that have experienced trauma, because they're the best BS detectors on the planet. I'm also a really good BS detector, but I'm telling you, people that have experienced trauma and teens are really good at it. They will look at you, and if you come in and you're fake, they will legit call you out, right? And for me, it was always about being transparent and authentic, because that's where people connect. So if I'm having a bad day and a client came in, teen or not, and said to me, gosh, are you okay? I just started saying, you know what? I just want you to know today's kind of a weird one. I'm feeling a little off. I had a late night, or I had, it's minuscule, but I say it because what happens is I didn't want someone else to have the experience that it was about them, which is a humanity thing. If we're with someone and someone's being a little bit different or a little bit funky or a little bit off, our instant response is to sort of go, oh, I did something. Or, oh, this person is upset with me, or right. So with my clientele, it was like, get right to the heart of the matter, and like, hey, I'm just going to be transparent. Today is just a hard day. I'm blank, not feeling well. I'm whatever. Right. And so there's something about the transparency that we bring that is like the direct connection to someone's heart space. And so I think about when my business partner finally cornered me. He didn't corner me in a mean way in the lunchroom, and asked me, he's like, we're thinking of moving and we're going to do this and and like, are you staying? And I was like, no, I'm leaving. This really unceremonious conversation, but it had to be said. And I hadn't felt brave enough. I couldn't find the words, and I didn't know the moment. And so then when I finally was confronted with it, I took that off and went, yeah, I'm done here. This is, I'm going somewhere else. And furthermore, and this was really powerful, was I said to him at the end of all of this, I said, if I'm here, but I'm not really here, I'm not serving this business anymore. And it's not good for you. It's not good for the clients. It's not good for the business. And he was like, oh, yeah, I get that. And so when I finally got really the real about where I was sitting, it was like we could have this really honest connection about, was I going to be with a business or not anymore? And I didn't fit anymore. It was like a shoe that got too small. And I had stopped growing because I was staying in it, right? I was squished. My soul wasn't growing. My business wasn't growing, and my legacy wasn't growing. I was staying right in that comfort zone. A friend of mine just talked about, God, 98, there's some incredible percentage of people that are living in their comfort zone. I was one of them. I love talking about this because this is so true. This is so transparent. I'm speaking from places I've lived and been, not something I'm making up or that I've seen someone else do. This is my journey too. And I really think that, when I think back on my story, when I think about my greatest connections with people, the people that I most easily connect with are the people that are gritty. Thanks, Christy. It's so nice to see you. The gritty people are my favorite people. The gritty people are people who will step right up and in and say, they just take that mask off and they go, I'm here for it. I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time. Momming is hard. Or, I have one young woman that I know that's having her baby for the first time and talking about the struggle and been really transparent. And the response to her is bonkers because she's so real. Right. And I think in this culture, I think we always have, I think now more than ever, with all of social media, with all of the things that we sort of look flat Stanley in, right? That it's like you see my photos or you see my quick videos or, right. And then there's this ease of making all sorts of assumptions about what someone's life is like. And so for me, whenever someone opens that door and we get to walk through with them, there's an instant connection. Someone doesn't even have to feel the same way, and they're in with her because they go, oh my God, that's so honest. That is so honest. That is so real. That is so refreshing is what it is, right? I always admire the people that get in and will say, this is really what it's like. This is really, some days are great and some days are wretched. That's real. And so to me, there's so much we can take from witnessing people who step into that transparency, and that transparency, the gift of it is connection. And I would take 5 gritty people over 25 people who were like, "Oh, everything is awesome." Like, what? I don't know what to do with that. Because my life isn't always like that. I've worked with hundreds of clients. Their lives aren't like that. I mean, they're my reference, right? Like, you're like, no, like the truth of the matter is that sometimes things are great and sometimes things are shit. So for me, this all ties into purpose because when we use these gifts we're given, when we see them through this lens, I would want to show up transparently. And honestly, let me tell you this is how people decide they want to work with me. Honestly, because I've told the story. It isn't because of what I look like or because I'm funny or, which I love all that. And that's great. I love to have fun on videos and stuff like that. But the truth is people will seek me and they'll go, your story makes sense for me. What you said about where you've been makes sense for me because I'm talking about the real, telling the stories and leaving that on the table for whoever needs to hear it. So when you're honest, if you've got a parent that's suffering, if you've got a sick loved one, if you are sick, I just met a gentleman this week by the grace of God, right? This is always how it works, right? A rando meeting, end up talking to him about a question he had about his business, what he wanted to do with some personal growth, and told me he has cancer. And it changed the trajectory of our conversation because I said very different things to him than I would have said had I had that knowledge. And so in a minute, with someone he doesn't know from a hole in the wall, he was willing to be really vulnerable and transparent. And the conversation was easy and fluid and powerful. And do you find this? I mean, I want you to really think about this in your own life is when you step into those spaces with people where you're just being real, where you're just being authentic, you're just showing up as you are without the mask and the superhero outfit and all the things and the layers that cover us. And like when we let that go, we show up, there's something so profound happening. And those are the kinds of conversations I want to have. I mean, this is where I'm going, right? I can blend my friends. I can blend with the best of them. I'm going to tell you what, this is so true. I could show up at a convention of give me something weird, a convention about home cleaners, and I could find a way to fit in. I could find a way. And it doesn't mean I could just be nice. I mean, I could find a way. I mean, like, like elbow my way in there and crack some jokes and make some, like just chat about whatever, right? And at the end of the day, my friends, what I want you to think about, there's nothing against home cleaners. That was just some random thing. I thought that's probably not a convention I would show up to because it's not my profession. But what I'm saying is if I do that and the energy, so when you think about this, right, and I get in there and I foam my way through it, right, I got my superhero hat, I got my mask on, I'm like, oh, I'm awesome, I got this, or I can do anything, and I can fake it till I make it with the best of them. I learned very young how to do that, and I'm good at it when I need to be. Right? It's precious energy. It's precious energy. And sometimes socially, we need to do those things. Okay. If I show up in a room full of people I don't know, I'm going to try to be nice and friendly. I mean, that's not unreal, right? But it's not like, deep conversation. Okay. But I want you to imagine that every single time we're showing up to these things, we're using a precious commodity, which is your energy. And it takes quite a bit of energy to fake it. Doesn't feel really great. I mean, it's not awful, but it's not great. Probably not going to walk away really having learned something. I had a conversation for an hour and a half and I learned something this week with 2 people who just got in a call, one person had a question, and we just sat in an hour and a half, back and forth. And that was actually a really meaningful conversation. So I really value being in conversation, being in the presence of people who value this notion. that it's not, I don't have heavy conversations for the love of Jesus. Understand me loud and clear. I'm not saying I have serious conversations 24/7. But my closest connections are with people who can both laugh and cry and then in the same breath have a very real conversation. Hey, Angelica and Sue, how are you? Right? That's my favorite. I will feel differently energetically. I will feel filled up. If that makes sense, my light will shine a little brighter when I'm in conversations like that. The ones where I'm like, so yeah, where are you from? And yeah, okay. I can talk about, I can do it. I can do it. I've done it. I've had to. They're not my favorite. They don't fill me up. So if we think about energy as a precious commodity, and it is, and I talk about it abundantly, I really want you to think about where you go and what you do, what circles you're in, where energy goes. Are you tapping into these gifts? My question to you would be, are you tapping into the gift of teachers? Are you tapping into the gift of clarity? Are you tapping into the gift of transparency? Do you have the sense of wisdom, the sense of direction, the sense of connection? Those are 6 really powerful words in 2 sentences. And they're every single thing that I'm about. And it fascinates me. I will talk to people like I did this week with this gentleman for an hour and a half about business stuff. I was just helping kind of like get some questions about business stuff and guidance and was helping tuck him in because he was trying to make some decisions. And it fascinates me that he was saying how hard it is to find community. It's so hard to find community, he said, where I can talk like this, where I can openly explore what I think I'm here to do, how I'm trying to do it, and whether this is the right direction for me or not. I don't have a space to do it in. And if I had a dime for every time I heard that, I'd be another millionaire. And so I just want to leave you, as we sign off a little bit for the holiday here, I'll hop in, I'll be around, but I just want you guys to know I'm going to be taking a little vacay around the holidays here to spend some time with my fam, and just take some downtime and rest and rejuvenate so that I can reset myself for January when we got big things happening. So lots of creation behind the scenes, of course, as always. But I want to say, I wanted to leave this here. These are some of the most beautiful gifts we're ever given. And in a season where I know it can feel like hustle and bustle and events and activities and family functions, and it's still weird because of COVID. Like we just got all these, we're juggling all the things, right? We can get stuck in maybe not looking at the real value, the real things that are the real. I love saying that because that just means we're actually talking about the realness in the world. And man, there are some great things we can do. There's some great things that we can do and see and experience if we're looking with a different lens. And honestly, it's strange to say this. This has been one of the most, knock on woods, like knock on my desk here, one of the most peaceful holidays of my life. And I think some of it helped to set myself up by looking for gifts that are different than the kind that we get in a package that we unwrap. And I love that stuff. I've said that. I love that. But that's not what I'm after. And these are gifts all year, right? Every month, every minute of every day. These are gifts that we can hone in on. And they support us living into our purpose, right? Wisdom, direction, connection. I mean, those are literally the basis of everything. And so I wanted to leave this year, 2021, right? I wanted to leave it and be better in 2022. My little motto I've crafted is want more for you in 2022, because that's what I would want for you, is for you to see something bigger, better, different, shifting, transforming, whatever that is. We're going to leave 2021, we're going to move into 2022. And this is this beautiful space between. Like imagine that there's this veil between this space, and we're starting to move through that. And we can leave behind something in 2021. And it's not bad, right? This is not a bad thing. This is a human growth thing. This is not really, I'm leaving behind so-and-so. We're not being vindictive about it. We're just saying I can grow. And from this space, I'm going to move into this space. Do you want to have less fear? Do you want to have less anxiety? Do you want to have more confidence? Do you want to feel more aligned with your journey? What do you want to do more of in 2022? And so those are the thoughts. Those are the gifts for the month. I could talk for 18 hours. I'm not even joking, because this is something that I'm so passionate about. And this subject in particular, this was ironically one of my favorite months of content. And I'm going to miss a little bit of it because of the holiday and I'm taking some time down. But this is like that, oh, want to grab onto it because it's good. And there are things that, like I said, thinking through this lens shifted in my holiday. And I think I've actually had a calmer holiday than I've maybe ever had. And it was like, these are the real gifts. These are the real gifts of my life. It's not just this season, but when I can think about it a little bit differently, I show up differently energetically. And so for me, I want to invite all of you into that space as well with me. Now, with that being said, okay, so we're talking 2021, we're talking 2020, 22. I can't talk 2022. So here's what I've got coming up for all of you. When we're talking about transformation, I have set up a free webinar on Wednesday, January 19th from 7 till 8:30 p.m. I want to invite you to come and join me in that. We are going to be doing reset practices that evening, which I'm going to bring all of the fire. It'll be an hour and a half of pure, probably feeling like you're drinking from a fire hose, growth and transformation practice. I'm super excited about it. We will for sure have some fun, but we're going to be diving deep into some practices that are going to help us reset. So rather than doing my retreat, I was going to do, this is sort of a like really condensed, powerful, transformative hour and a half. At the end of that hour and a half, I am launching the magic that I've got coming in February. So that night, people that attend in person are going to be offered a special bonus that no one else will get to receive. So I will tell you, it is really important to sign up and be present in that webinar on the 19th of January. Friends, get through the holidays. Hear me sincerely. Get through the holidays. I know we got family, we got friends, we got travel, we've got stuff. Same. I'm trying to wrap up work and get details and things organized. I'm doing all the things, right? We're all doing all the things. Let's get through that. Let's enjoy. Let's pause, reflect, okay? Spend time with your people, doing your things, embracing and being present. And then give ourselves a little bit of time into January to begin to really reset. So I invite you to be doing that reflective work right now. In preparation, there's no accidents. There's no accidents the way I lay this stuff up, friends. It's not like, oh, I'll just toss some shit in a bag and pull it out one by one. No, like I've set it up for you. Reflection here, so important to move into reset here. You are setting yourself up to have a different kind of experience in 2022 by the work you're doing today. That's what we're always doing. The work we do today serves the tomorrow and the tomorrow after that and the tomorrow after that. And so in 2022, we're going to come together on January 19th. It's a Wednesday evening. We are going to experience a handful of really beautiful, like my very faves. Of course, I'll show up with my very favorite tools. We're going to talk about what it means to rise. It's so action packed, and we're going to do that to launch into the new year in a whole different way. And so if you want to sign up for that, I invite you to sign up. Join me. It's free. It costs you nothing. The webinar costs nothing. Show up and join us to do some resets, do some community energy. We're talking about we need community. That's not an accident either. You'll notice I didn't say I invite you all individually to come and do a something. Nope, we're doing it in community. That's intentional. And so come into community. For those of you that are longing for those spaces where you feel that you can do the work, where you can be transparent, where you can be vulnerable, where you can have clarity, where you can tap into wisdom, that's all in community as well. It's within you, and it's within the community that you're going to spend time with. They're going to shine it right back to you. To do that, what you do is head over to my website at laughinglotuswellness.com. Give it a couple seconds. There should be a pop-up that invites you right to click into the webinar. If for some reason that doesn't work, I'm going to give you the address, but that should work. But if it doesn't, if you go to laughinglotuswellness.com/free-webinar, bam, right on that site. And you can sign up from there as well. Totally free. The only thing I need is your email to send you the link to be in the experience with me. That's it. Okay? So I'm going to invite you to do that. If you're ready to move from this state of reflection, the state of growth, into putting it in action, that might be my word for 2022. I got to get my head around this. Action. And you guys have heard me talking about this more lately. Taking what we think and putting it into action. That's what this is going to be about this year. So if you're ready to reset, you want to join me, go over, hop in that free webinar. Let's get you in. Let's get started. Let's do it in community. Let's start building up that momentum into really creating that transformation that you want to rise up to live onto your path of purpose. Okay? It is free. It's free. Okay, an hour and a half of power coming in for you. I'm super excited about it. So I hope you will come and join me to hear about the big thing I'm launching in February, because it's going to be like a party. And I'm super, super excited. We're going to be celebrating the big launch of something that I'm going to be offering in February. And so I want you to be there to hear all about that, but really to take and move into 2022 to do more for you. That's the whole idea. So please feel free to come and join me. I would love to see you there. Okay, friends. When we talked about gifts, we talked about the gift of teachers that gives us wisdom. We talked about the gift of clarity that gives us direction. We talked about the gift of transparency, which gives us connection. Would you do a solid for me in the comments? Would you share with us which one of those feels like the gift you'd like most in your life? Which is the gift you'd like most? The gift of teachers and wisdom, the gift of clarity and direction, or the gift of transparency and connection? Like, they're all amazing, and there's literally not one that's better than another. So which one? All right, my friends, I am sending you guys love and light as your holiday proceeds here. I'm going to be off for a little bit of time, and we'll reconnect after the new year. We're going to be back in here doing the things. You will see me around, but I will just be taking some downtime to spend with family and friends and things like that, and just really in that space of connection and renewing myself so that I can really hit January with that like incredible energy and vibration that I want to bring into all of you, to fill you up as well and help make sure that I'm supporting you living on your path to purpose. So my friends, this is Jen with Love and Light, sending you all off with a beautiful holiday season. Please stay healthy. Go spend time being present to your people. You are the present to your people. So please just go embrace that and spend that time as best you can, absorbing every single minute that you get, because that's a gift. Time is a gift. Time is a gift. So go really absorb that. And I will plan to see you guys back here in a couple of weeks, and stay in touch. If you've got any questions or anything, feel free to ask. But otherwise, this is Jen supporting you to rise on your path to purpose.